All right. Welcome everybody to this training session. This is our number 2 training session with the AllSmart operational platform. Today, we're going to do a short recap on training session number 1 and then move into the remaining options underneath the recurring portfolio, which include our portfolio directories and the abilities and features we have there, as well as our financials and escalation alerts. So last week, if we all recall, it was just a general overview of the AllSmart platform. And we went through updating your profile. We also took a tour of the home screen with the 5 different menu options on the top toolbar from each of the portfolios to the vendor partners, quality control, and my account. And then we focused on value engineering an account, that whole process from start to finish, along with that guided tour. And just for the record, Tom and I, Tom has updated that process, so we are going to be doing an additional private recording of that and releasing that recording link to the team by the end of this week. Okay. So one change that we wanted to bring to your attention under the recurring portfolio is you're going to, I guess, a couple changes. You're going to see that the dashboard is now changed to announcements. Tom and I both felt that was more fitting from what was being shared on that screen. And then additionally, in future trainings, we're going to go over the recurring vitals and then the shared space and how that pertains to you and your portfolios. So for now, I'm just going to click on announcements. And here there are a couple new announcements that just want to bring to your attention. We have an important reminder from our CFO, John Waltbillig, regarding the moving of our new building in the early part of June. So just to keep everybody, it's exciting, but the accounting team along with HQ is going to have their hands full with that move. And then Tom Philhouse has another important update regarding the single sign-on for Zendesk and AllSmart. So if you have any issues signing on to Zendesk, please come to this announcement page and follow this link and read this description here for further instruction. And again, Tom is a resource to assist you as well. And then we continue with the regular messages, the announcements that Kevin, John, and I produced for this page. All right, so first up to bat, we have the recurring directory. So the directory, everyone, these are the accounts that you value engineered using the VET, the value engineering tool, to input your accounts into the allsmart.work operating platform. You can see this is just for training purposes. I just have 2 accounts listed here with minimal information. Again, your portfolios are going to have all your medical, all your non-residential, your residential, your commercial accounts, church and school, etc., in your portfolios. But here you see that we have the option to filter down by the site name, the state, the class. We have options for schedule, so any day of the week that we want to zero into. The option to place an account on the partner market, which we'll go over tomorrow in our training. And then we can also dial it in by the brand. So those are our 5 to 6 options we have for filtering. Again, once you select the filter, just make sure you click the blue search. And then just below here, we have the option to download any of the data below in this data table, whether it's filtered or not, into a CSV, Excel, PDF. We can even print it. So you have those options there if it's needed. However, we want to live and breathe in this operating platform. All right. So for the 2 accounts that I have in my massive portfolio here, I have the Bryan Sample Company and, of course, the Bryan Test Company. And you can see here, this is just a snapshot initially of the account logo, the site name. We have the address, the class that they fall into, a brand if it's already an existing brand within AllClean, or if it's not, we select other or not listed, and Tom or I on the back end will create a brand for this new account in your portfolio. And then we have a link to the master service agreement or the facility service agreement with the customer, and an additional link for the scope of work, and then the square footage for the account, the number of national locations, and the estimated site traffic. And you can see to the left of the logo, Here we have the option to expand each account with the blue plus sign. So we'll go ahead and expand Brian Sample Company. And let me get this into a better view here. Awesome. And so in this section, you'll obviously see more detailed information regarding the account, Brian Sample Company. You can see the operator is Beckham. That's myself, Brian Beckham. My supervisor is Kevin Keegan. And the services that are rendered here are nightly cleaning. Our schedule is 5 days a week on the weekdays only. Our profit goal margin is 40%. But right now below, you can see we're running at a 30% profit margin with the gross margin being at $3,000. Remember that our gross margins are calculated based on the revenue subtracted by the cost of goods sold, and then you take your gross profit, which is $3,000, divided by the revenue. That's going to determine your profit margin of 30%. And then based on the square footage that I inputted for this account, it's going to calculate the price per square foot, which comes out to about 10 cents. And then you have some other details here regarding the cost of goods sold, the consumables, revenue, and cost of goods sold. And then you're getting into the customer's information here, the primary contact, their title, their contact information, and if there's any secondary contact information. And last but not least, in this summary screen, you have the agreement execution date and the upcoming escalation. Depending on your contracts, most of them are annual. However, I know up in Chicago with Loyola, Bob signed a 5-year agreement. Way to go, Bob. So you may see a greater gap here between the agreement execution and the next escalation date. But typically it's about a year. And then lastly, and where, I want to make some edits here. Let's say we increase the consumable revenue, and of course the cost of goods sold go up there. Or let's say we expanded the cleanable square footage, and so our revenue and cost of goods sold need to be adjusted. Where would we do that? So once you expand your account, you scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see link to edit entry. You're going to select move, add, or change site. Give it a second to load here. There we go. And remember, this little toggle at the top of each screen allows you to enter into full screen. All right. So here, as I shared on the previous web page, is your opportunity to edit the entries, the information that we saw on the previous summary page. So we can edit the site name, update the client brand, their logo. We'll come back to shared space and partner support and all this vendor partner information in tomorrow's training and a future training. On the right here, you have the supervisor, if that changed by chance, and of course the account address. And then here's where I said, oh, I want to change the serviceable square footage. Let's say we jumped up to 12,000 square feet, right? And the foot traffic increased to 150 due to that change. So we have that option there. And because of that increase, we picked up another restroom. So we're jumping up to $200 in consumable revenue. And the cost of goods sold, of course, are reflected by that. So our monthly revenue jumped up a couple grand there, as well as our cost of goods sold. Okay, so you can see it's pretty easy. It's just like updating when you're value engineering your account for the first time, you have these same types of fields with these headers where you can change the information once it's an established account within your portfolio under your directory. So when you're satisfied with the information, you want to click update. You also have the option to cancel if you decided not to make any changes after all. And then Tom, a quick question for you. Do our portfolio managers, our operators, do they have access to deleting an account?
They do. So if you lose an account, you can just simply delete it off of the directory.
Okay. And is that stored somewhere? Is that deactivated, or is that all the information just erased?
Technically, all information would be erased, and all tickets generated from that account would be erased. but there is a back-end version that we have access to that'll save those changes.
Okay. Okay, great. Tom and I, everybody will work on that a little bit further. And if in the event an account does move to an inactive stage, terminated, voluntary, involuntary, please coordinate with us before you delete the account, just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Realistically, we might remove that button.
Okay. Okay. So we're satisfied with the information. I'm simply going to select update. All right. And we can just see basically from the information that's available in these current column headers, the square footage jumped up by 2,000 and the site traffic increased by 50 individuals per day. So if we expand that account here, again, we're going to see the revenue jumped up to 12,000 from 10, and the cost of goods sold, the vendor partner, jumped from 7,000 to 8,000. We have a new gross profit of 4,000, and we increased our margin points by 3. Now we're up to 33% margin. And we may want to reconsider the revenue price per square foot here. Maybe a little high. All right, but as you can see, it also changed the consumable revenue here as well. So it's pretty simple. Again, this is your summary when you expand the account underneath your directory. And then if you need to edit any of the fields that are listed here, again, just scroll down to the bottom and select Move, Add, or Change Site. All right. So that completes this training on the directory. Let's move now to the financial portion. So again, under recurring portfolio, just under directory, we have the financials. And I know I've stated this before, but I want to keep re-emphasizing this again. Financials from the company's standpoint would be our profit and loss statements, our profitability reports, any report generated out of QuickBooks that's produced by our accounting department under John Walt Billig's purview. However, we're using this term loosely here because it does generate the idea in our mind that we're talking about numbers. And so just to be specific here now, we're just talking about gross numbers. So it's your above the line revenue, it's your above the line cost of goods sold, and of course that equals your gross margin by dollars and by percent, as well as your consumables, if any are sold at the account. So just want to be very clear with that. Okay. So again, you have the same options as you did on the directory page here in the financial page to filter. And again, click search once you're satisfied with your filtering. And you also have the options to download it into different formats. Also, if you have entries that exceed 25, you can go up to 50 or even see all the entries. Or if you want to just go to the 10 accounts you want to look at a time, you can also select that. All right. And so here, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that you can filter by the accounts based on clicking on the filters within each column header. So if you wanted to see from the least cost of goods sold down, or if you wanted to see from the greatest cost of goods sold down, my recommendation if you were filtering would be by the revenue or most likely by the gross profit to get a good idea of your ranking of your accounts. And on each page at the bottom, and again, this is only going to show the entries listed on this page. So if you're just looking at 25 of your 30 accounts, you're only going to see the 25 accounts listed in this total column here at the bottom. So you're not going to see the additional 5. What I recommend if you want to see your total portfolio, financial performance above the line, would be to select Show All. That way, at the bottom, you'll see your total revenue, your total cost of goods sold, gross profit. As you can see, it just adds these rows here in this column. Tom, is this a bug or something we need to work on? I just realized my profit margin is not averaging out here or showing here.
Yeah, actually, that is a bug. It's supposed to be taking the average of everything that's in that field. So I apologize. I'll have that corrected here shortly.
Not to worry. Okay, again, pretty straightforward under recurring portfolio, recurring financials. This is where you'll be able to see your run rates here. And again, to change any of this information, you want to go into your directory and select the Move, Add, or Change site. All right. Last but not least, and to conclude our training before Q&A, we'll jump down to escalations. And this information on this escalation alert page is only as good as the information inputted within the vet process, the initial onboarding of an account into the AllSmart website, or if you go to make a move, add, or change later on, as we discussed in the directory portion of this training. And so right now it's focused on the year 2021. And you'll see here that we have some accounts that were due in April. We have upcoming accounts in June, as well as July, and all the way through the end of the year. So this is a great summary to anticipate and forecast of when escalations are due. And typically these escalations are due upon the renewal of the contract. And I know Kevin's request to us operators, as well as a company policy and procedure, is that we plan these meetings 60 days in advance with our customers, or at a minimum 45 days in advance, so that they can anticipate an increase and adjust their budget in order to accept our escalation. So just keep that in mind as well. And then also at the top here, we can change it to a different year. So we select the right arrow here on the top right, it's going to go to 2022. And we're going to see some more accounts fall into 2022 based on when the contract originated and when the escalation date was selected in the vet form or the move, add, or change of the account. So we see a lot of landmark accounts here, Trace, for 2022. Keep scrolling. And then we can see from my example, I wanted to show you this page as well. We have the Bryan Sample Company escalation here as well in 2022, since the contract started in May 20 of this year. Tom, one question for the group now. As they input this escalation date into each of their accounts, I know we're missing some, so we need to update that field in each of the accounts, in each of the portfolios. Is this just a schedule and snapshot of what's to come, like I said earlier, or is there a way to schedule reminders or notifications or tickets are created for the operators in Zendesk?
Oh, hey, I'm glad you asked. So we have a really robust system that we're going to be rolling out here, hopefully by the end of this week, that'll give you an alert 45 days prior to your escalation, and then calculate your annual escalation rate so that it's going to reflect the COLA increase for that year for that state. So we could make another video or do another training shortly, but to answer your question, there is a way, but it's not accessible right now.
Okay, good. So it is coming. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So we'll head back to the home page. So everyone, like I said earlier, that was a super focused training. We wanted to make sure we were to the point and very specific. Under the recurring portfolio, we went over the directory on how to view, how to filter, how to look at the summary of an individual account by expanding it, as well as to edit it using the move, add, or change site. And then we reviewed the financials, as well as the escalation alerts just moments ago.